Is something alive growing inside your body? Think it's just a headache or stomachache? Well, so did these 10 people who had living things growing inside them.
You'd say things are getting pretty serious.
Number 10. Now SD hates spiders, and this story makes me question why God would make such an evil creature. A patient at China's Changsha Central Hospital, only known as Mrs. Lee, complained of having an itchy ear. When doctors looked inside the woman's ear, what occurred next can only be described as my fucking worst nightmare. Doctors noticed a little spider must have crawled into the woman's ear while she slept and taken up residence in her ear canal. This is when I would immediately ask the doctors to shoot me in the head. I could not live in a world where something horrible like this could occur. But doctors got the spider out by pouring saline solution into her ears. I now sleep wearing these. Number 9. Ron Svedin had been struggling to breathe for months. He just assumed it was his emphysema. The man's health began to rapidly decline as he was experiencing non-stop coughing. His wife Nancy called 911, and after arriving at the hospital, doctors took an x-ray of his lungs and found out his left lung had collapsed. Now the x-ray also showed a strange grainy spot on the lung. Doctors feared it was a tumor, but found no evidence of cancer. Tests did show, however, that the man had a green vegetable sprouting inside his lung. According to Mr. Svedin, a pea had split open and sprouted in his lung and grown to be about half an inch long. Instead of get well cards and flowers, friends and neighbors sent him canned peas. Number 8. 12-year-old Neil Borello was hanging out with his friends at a river one day. They were swimming, diving, and challenging each other to swallow fish. Things went horribly bad for the 12-year-old when instead of sliding down his esophagus and into his belly, it was inhaled down the boy's windpipe and entered his left lung. The boy immediately began to struggle to breathe and was quickly rushed to the hospital where his blood oxygen levels had started to become dangerously low. Doctors performed a 45-minute emergency operation to find Nemo. The boy did survive, as did the fish, which was breathing up until the last second before it was removed. Number 7. After a trip to Belize in the summer of 2007, Aaron Dallas of Carbondale, Colorado noticed bumps that began to form on the top of his scalp. When the man would touch the bumps, he could feel them moving. He at first thought it was just blood coursing through the veins in his head. He could even hear something moving in his head, making him think that he was going crazy. Dallas also began to experience pain that would drop the man to his knees. At first, doctors thought they were just insect bites or shingles and prescribed creams and salves that just didn't work. Eventually, doctors realized that what was inside the bumps and moving were botflies and had taken up to living in a pit that was about 3 millimeters wide. Number 6. Russian-born Arty Sidorkin went to the doctors complaining of extreme pain in his chest and was coughing up blood. After taking x-rays, doctors diagnosed the man with a tumor and began to operate. But good thing the doctors performed a biopsy before removing a large chunk of the man's lung, because Sidorkin apparently didn't have a tumor, but a 5-centimeter fir tree growing in his lung. Number 5. John Matthews began to go blind as 2 spots began to obscure vision in his left eye. Doctors at the University of Iowa hospitals and clinics found that Matthews had a raccoon worm living in his retina. The worm could have been in his eye for up to a month. Even though the parasite was only 1/20th of an inch long, it did damage, moving around and eating the retina. Doctors went all Star Wars on that worm's ass and killed it with lasers, but not without a fight. According to the doctor, the worm did its best to avoid getting shot. Number 4. Rosemary Alvarez of Phoenix, Arizona began to experience numbness in her left arm, difficulty swallowing, and started to lose her balance. Doctors performed an MRI which seemed to show a growth on her brainstem that looked just like a tumor. Well, good news for Alvarez. When performing the surgery, doctors discovered a tapeworm instead of a tumor and told her that she would make a full recovery. But the bad news is how she got the tapeworm in the first place. Doctors informed the woman that the only way she could have contracted this particular parasite was because someone had served her food that had been tainted by the fecal matter of someone infected with it.
Oh no, she didn't!
If that's a bit over your head, what the doctors are saying, somehow she ate somebody's dookie. Number 3. In August of 2008, Anthony Franz filed a lawsuit against a Chicago restaurant claiming that's where he contracted a tapeworm. The man claims after eating a salmon salad for lunch, he got violently ill. Later on, while doing his business on the can, Franz passed a 9-foot-long giant tapeworm, which a pathologist determined it came from undercooked fish like salmon. Number 2. In South Korea, a woman who wished to remain private, and soon you'll know why, was eating squid when the still living creature injected its sperm bag into her tongue. I guess it mistook her for its mate. The pain was not only intense, but the woman felt small squirming things in her mouth. Doctors found 12 small, white, spindle-shaped organisms in the mucous membranes of her tongue and cheek. Now, I've heard that this stuff is full of vitamin E and good for the skin. I'm assuming you gotta swallow it and not apply it. Now, before we get to number 1, here's a video that just hit the internet as I was making this video. Stick around and watch what comes out of this young girl's ear. And don't forget to click that subscribe button right here. Number 1. A 59-year-old chef in the Sichuan province of China was taken to a local hospital after complaining of abdominal pain, dehydration, and anal bleeding. Doctors performed exploratory surgery on the man and discovered that he had a 50-centimeter long Asian swamp eel lodged into his rectum. The eel had died, but not before attempting to eat his way through the man's intestines. The man suffered from internal bleeding and infections. Even though he lasted for 10 days in intensive care, he ultimately succumbed to his injuries and sepsis. It was later discovered that while drinking with friends, the chef passed out, and they thought it would be funny to shove an eel up his butt crack while he was asleep. Those are some great friends. Most will just draw dicks on your face with a marker. These guys go all in, literally and figuratively.